Hi, my name is Zakia Carr Johnson, and I am founding director of Black Women Disrupt, an initiative aimed at supporting Black women entrepreneurs and innovators, founded in 2018 in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2019, we created a project with our partners, Dylan Valley, a fabulous documentary filmmaker, and Antoinette Ingle, a producer located in Cape Town, South Africa. We decided to collaborate to focus on sister disruptors in the audiovisual space, particularly those interested in web series as a vehicle for storytelling. My partner Dylan is with us today. I just wanted to thank our partners, Howard University, Graduate Film, and Howard alumni, for making the masterclass offered today possible. Thank you and welcome to our community.
I'm going to introduce our speaker today. I'm very excited to have Penny T. Hollis with us. Penny T. Hollis is a complete talent. She's a writer, director, editor, producer, storyteller, and one of the film world's rising stars. She grew up in Louisiana and is a product of the South's rich history of storytelling. Her writing boasts vivid descriptions and dialogue which intrigue audiences. Her words, however, are only rivaled by the images and moods that she's able to extract from her actors and cinematographers as a director. Hollis began a formal training as a filmmaker at Grambling State University, where she obtained a BA in mass communications, and later at Howard University, where she completed an MFA. And continuing in the noted tradition of African-American filmmakers, she prides herself on working with other creatives and is dedicated to guiding audiences to realize the humanity in every character she creates. Hollis's films highlight triumphs and tragedies in society and inspire audiences to ponder long after they would have experienced their films. Perhaps that's what makes Hollis exceptional. So thank you so much, Penny, for joining us today. And yes, I'll leave it to you to take it away.
This is a speed class, a crash course on Premiere. I use Premiere and Avid. I don't know if you all are familiar with either one, but we are going to go back to the basics, basically to elementary in Premiere. So I'm going to start sharing. Okay, so the project that I'm going to be sharing with you all today is actually a short film that I wrote and directed back in 2017. It's called Maxine. It's a short film. And this is the project here. This is the final film that was edited. So I'm gonna teach you how, like, you have never seen Premiere before. So Premiere is a non-linear editing software. It's very user-friendly. One can learn Premiere in a very short amount of time. I actually learned Premiere in a day because when I first learned how to edit, I learned on Avid Media Composer. So if you know Avid, you can get Premiere like that. It's so simple. So Premiere, the thing about Premiere is the interface. So with the interface down here, we have our project. And again, please let me know if I'm going too fast. So this is the project. This is where everything lives, all your media, everything will be in Premiere. So this is the project that is for Maxine. I created a new project, and as you can see, there's nothing here. It's completely blank. But before I go through here, let me go through each window for you. So this is your project window. This is where all your files will live. This right here, this is your source window. This is your record window, and this is your timeline. So we are going to create a bin. And a bin, think of a bin as a container, which that's exactly what it is. A bin is a container where you store items in. So in editing, we have bins where we store footage in. And with your bin, as you can see here, you're allowed to be as organized as you as you want to be. There's no limit to how many bins that you can have. So all of these little icons here, these are bins. And I have bins, some of them have bins within bins. So let's go to the blank project. I'm going to right click and hit new bin. And I'm going to name my bin. I'm just going to keep it simple today. Everything is going to be called Masterclass. That's one way to create a bin. You can also go down here to the bottom, this icon here, and as you can see, it's a new bin. And now I'm going to click it, and now I have another bin. So I'm just going to say footage. And I want a bin for audio. And how I like to keep organized. Editing is all about being, you want to be organized when you're editing. So in audio, I'm going to double click and I'm going to create another bin and I'm going to call it music. So basically I'm putting bins within bins. And if you click here on this arrow right here, you will see all of the windows that are open right here. So I'm going to go back to the main one, which says project. And as you can see, they'll tell you what they are. So that's the project, that's the bin, that's another project I have open. And that's the good thing about Premiere. It allows you to open multiple projects within a project. Other softwares like Avid, you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to open one project at a time. So I'm going to go back here. Now, there are different ways that you can bring in footage. Let's just go into the footage bin. This bin is completely empty. One way you can bring in footage is that you can right click and hit import. And you can navigate your way on your drive to find footage. So this is my drive. I do not want to bring that in. Okay. I'm going to bring in a couple clips. Well, maybe I should, maybe. And you're allowed to, you can bring in multiple clips at a time. Bam, we have footage. Oh, that was actually the one clip I did not want to bring in. Okay, another way that you can bring in footage, because I'm sharing my computer, you can't see what I'm doing on the other monitor, but basically what I'm doing, I'm navigating to my drive in my Finder window, and I'm just going to literally drag and drop footage. So I just drag and I'm dropping this footage. And add to the bin. Okay, we have a Premiere isn't happy what I just did. Okay. Okay, now you can see I brought in multiple clips. And if you look down here, there are different ways that you're allowed to view your footage within a bin. This is the list view that we're in now, where you see the name of each clip. You can have an icon if you click on that, and now you will see the first frame of each clip. And this is if you are working on a project and you do not know the footage, I would suggest you use this view, because then you can see what you're looking at, opposed to just looking at the name of the files. So I'm going to leave it here since I haven't looked at this footage in quite some time. So if you click on a clip in your bin, it's going to automatically populate in what we call your source window. Your source window is where you make your selections that you would like to put on your timeline. So I'm going to just use the end of this timeline, and this is called my playhead. So wherever I put my playhead on the timeline, that is where my clip is going to appear on the timeline. So I'm going to mark an in and out point. So your in and out points, I have shortcuts. Where is it? So if you click here, so I'm the type of editor, I like to use my keyboard. I have it mapped for all types of shortcuts, but I'm gonna try not to use the shortcuts today with you all and just use the mouse and click on the buttons. So this is mark in. So I'm telling this software that this is the beginning of the clip that I want. I want my clip to start here. And now I'm gonna take the playhead, move it down, or if I want to hit the space bar and just play, this is a very short clip, and just play. And you know what? I think I want my clip to end here. So if this is where I want my clip to end, I'm going to put a mark out. So what's highlighted right here between my mark in and my mark out clip is what I've selected and what I want to put on my timeline. So now I'm just going to take, there's a couple ways that you can put media on your timeline. If you have a shortcut, my shortcut is B. So if I hit B, which I just told you all I was not going to use shortcuts, but I'm so used to using shortcuts. But if I press B, because this clip is so short, let me zoom in on it, but it's on my timeline. So I'm going to hit Command Z and remove the clip. Let's find a longer clip. This is much longer. So I'm marking my in and out. And let me explain, let's jump into some time code. So this time code right here is called the time a day. So this is the time of day this clip was shot when this clip was created. So that would be, this would be the frame. 01 is the frame. 28 is the second. 58 is the minute. And 16 is the hour. That is how we read time code. Now this time code over here that you see, and watch how it's going to change when I change my end mark. This time code is telling you the duration of the clip that you created an in and out mark for. So say like if I'm editing something and I know exactly how long I want my clip to be, say I want my clip 120. So I have 120 there. Or what you could do, you also can type in a time code. But I just move my playhead, and now you can see that is I'm at 1 second 20 frames. So now I'm just going to drag my clip over to my timeline. So that's another way you can put footage on a timeline. If you mark an in and out point on your clip, and if you pull the clip from here, it's going to keep those marks that you created. So it's not going to bring the entire clip. It's only going to bring what you put in within those in and out marks. Now, say for some reason I only want the video on my timeline. So if I click on this little icon here, as you can see, it says drag video only. So now I'm just going to drag that over to my timeline. And as you can see, it snapped. It went straight upon next to my other clip. And say I want the audio for this, but I do not want the video. I'm going to drag audio only to my timeline. And as you can see, as I drop clips onto the timeline, they are appearing in this window right here. This window is called either the program window, or you will hear the term a lot, record window. So basically, what you're building on your timeline is going to populate in this window. So you're seeing your edit, you're seeing the sequence that you are building. So basically, it is recording what you're creating. And again, you have the timeline, you have time code on this window as well. So I want to show you all, let's talk about these icons right here, all these little buttons and stuff I can push. So these right here, this is controlling my A1 stands for audio, V stands for video. So right now I have 3 video tracks on my timeline, and I have 8 audio tracks on my timeline. I can add as many more tracks as I want to my timeline. The thing about this, so what's over here highlighted in blue? So let me, I'm sorry. So these right here, this timeline, these, the video and audio tracks right here, this is for my record window. The ones on the left side is for my source window. So this is the video and audio tracks for this clip. And this is telling me that it's only two tracks of audio on this clip. So say if I want to bring my video from my source window, but I don't want to put it on my V1. I want to put it on my V2. In order to do that, the only thing I have to do is select V2. So now I'm mapping. Basically, you're mapping your tracks. You're telling Premiere that when you bring this on, when you drop this clip down, you want it to go to V1 and not, V2 opposed to V1. So I'm going to just drop this down by using my shortcut. And as you can see, it went exactly where I told it to go. I wanted to go to V2. So now I want it to go, let's try that again. Let's just have it go to V1. And I want my audio tracks to map down to A3 and A4. So if I take this same clip and I bring it to the timeline, as you can see, it's dropping down to V1 and to A3 and A4. And another, does anyone have any questions so far? You can put them in the chat. I have the chat open.
Hey, Penny, so I've got a quick question.
Sure.
So, so I get the different channels, like the video channels, and switching from V1 to V2. And maybe you can say a little bit about when you need to do that kind of a change, instead of having them all on the same kind of channel, like back to back. So
Okay.
when would you need something on V2 as opposed to V1, or A2 as opposed to A2 as opposed to A1, and that kind of thing?
Okay. No problem. I think I have that. And I'm zooming in and out on my timeline, and that is hitting, I'm on an Apple. I honestly can't even tell you what it is on a PC, but I'm hitting Command with the brackets. So the brackets, I am hitting it. So I'm expanding, I'm zooming out. And then if I hit the other bracket, I am zooming in. No, I just said that completely backwards. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, I'm zooming out and then I'm in. Okay, let's go. So in editing, so this is my final sequence. Let me find a sequence to show you. And also you can use this bar right here to zoom in and out on your timeline. But again, I like to use the keyboard. It's much faster for me. Okay, right here. This is what I want to show. So this is what, Dylan, was that you asked the question?
Yes, yeah, that was
Okay,
me.
okay. So you hardly ever, so when you see a timeline like this, basically all the tracks, so everything that was on V1 and V2, when you get ready to export your final piece, a lot of times we try to move everything down to one track. But when you're editing, you're not going to edit like this. You're going to have stuff, you know, on multiple tracks. So like here, and actually my former student who edited this for me is actually on this Zoom right now, Jamari. She was one of my students at Howard University, and she edited this for me, this teaser. So right here, a lot of times, okay, the reason we put stuff on higher tracks is to cover. We're trying to cover footage. And like documentary style, you're covering, you know, you're using B-roll, or you're using other, you know, other source footage to cover your bytes. So here we have a sequence. I mean, we have a clip on the timeline. How's it going, Miss Hunt? And then we wanted to see the reaction shot. So you see this character, you see his dialogue is, "How you doing, Miss Hunter?" How's it going, Miss Hunter? And then we want to cut to her reaction. Now I want to turn off. So these little eyes right here is basically we call it an eye. So right now the eyes are open. If the eye is open, it's going to see everything. If I close this eye and I have my playhead right here, watch what's going to happen. You can no longer see this clip because the eye is closed. So now this eye is open, so that's what it's going to read. And the eyes for all these other video tracks are open, but there are no clips on there to see. So if I turn this eye on again, now the clip appears. So, and this is a finished sequence. This is a finished sequence. So this is how Jamari edited this sequence. And so since I know that this is the final clip, what I can do is just simply move this clip down, and now it's no longer stacked. So basically that's why we do that. And I mean, editing, you're building. Basically you're building something. And when you're building something, things, you know, you're stacking things, clips will go on top of each other. I'm going to undo that. And sometimes, and as editors, if we, you know, sometimes we're not sure on a clip that we want, and we would just leave this here. I was like, I don't know if I want, because it would be, some would be like, okay, it's simple, just put the new clip down here. But maybe that's not, you know, I'm still playing with the idea of when I want her, when I want the cut to happen, when I want this reaction to happen. Because what I can do, a good thing about Premiere is that you can trim on the timeline. So if I feel like my playhead is at the beginning of this clip, and I was like, okay, I think I want more of the front end of this clip. So instead of going back into my bin, looking for this clip, and then bringing it to the source window, finding a new in and out because I don't like the beginning of this clip, I can simply take my little playhead, take my little what is this little thing called? I never know. I'm going to take this, and it's going to take my mouse and put it right here, and it's going to turn into this. You see this little black, it looks like an E with an arrow on it. So this is a trim. So what I'm going to do, I clicked, and now I'm going to, and this is the beginning of this clip. So, okay, so I did that and the clip went nowhere. And that's why, and reason it went nowhere, because that is the beginning of that clip. So let's try this one. See, I can expand this clip out. So the good thing, this is called editing on the timeline. So I can edit this on my timeline. Like I said, I don't have to go back to my source window to find a new in and out point for this clip. Do that. Come on. Okay, sorry, my computer's freezing up a little. Okay. And as you can see, the same thing is done for audio, because right here, these tracks is dialogue. I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat. Feel free to, yes, feel free to ask questions. Let's see. As I was saying, so you can do the same thing with audio. Everything does not have to go on one track. You can build, like if you have different tracks of music that you want under one section, you can put several tracks under one section. Any questions? And as you can see, I have multiple timelines open, multiple sequences open. So I can click on any of them when I need them. And as you can see, this right here, so this is my final film right here. This is the final film. And I want to make sure that I never, ever delete anything on this sequence. So what I did is I locked it. See this little lock? That's why you see these lines. So if I unlock it, those lines are going to disappear. But this is a way, like I said, Jamari was in the project editing something. This is a way that if you have multiple people in your project, that you can make sure that no one deletes anything that they're not supposed to delete. So I have this sequence locked. Where was I?
Hey Penny, it's Dylan here again.
Yes.
Also noticed that in your final edit, basically everything is on video one. So you've basically neatened it up. So after you've done your building, you've basically kind of committed to all those edits. So there's no like trimming or extending any clips, and you've kind of just made them these hard cuts on the same video channel, right? So that, I guess that's to make sure that there are no like loose clips just hanging about that could pop up somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Is that how you've done this? Is that the reason why you do that?
Yeah, like I said, you want to bring everything down for one track, because once you're done editing, for most like if you're editing a film, whatever you're editing, you'll want to take that to a colorist. So it's easier. A colorist would want everything down on one track. Say if I had like 10 tracks of video up there, and it's a clip up somewhere on V9, and the clip is only like 30 seconds. If I have this timeline like this small, like who would see that? And so someone would completely miss that clip. So that's one reason why we bring everything down when we're completely, so what we call picture lock. So this is picture lock. I don't need to make any changes. Like you said, nothing needs to be extended. No shots need to be replaced. This is what I'm sticking to. This is my final product. So I bring everything down when I can. And there are some times that you can't bring everything down if you have effects on it, but you try to at least get all your stuff on V1 and V2. But it also, of course, it depends on if you have some, if it's layered with effects on it, if you have graphics. But for the most part, you want your video, you want to bring it down and lock it. Like that is from personal experience, going in and deleting things that was not supposed to be deleted.
Yeah, because I've edited a little bit in Premiere, and before that in Final Cut, which Final Cut is also quite similar.
Yes.
But but it was Final Cut Pro 7, which is now being discontinued. So I'm aging
Oh,
myself a bit here in terms of what of my editing software. But yeah, it's very easy because it's very easy to delete stuff by mistake on these editing programs, because you can basically drag something over another clip and it can just disappear,
yeah.
or you can
And let me show you
shift
an
your
example of that. Like literally, I can be doing something and I can move this, make it see, I've completely messed up my sequence right now because I just moved that clip over. So it deleted what was here. Now I have a hold here. So yes, that's why one reason when I'm done, I lock. And even if you lasso your clips, you can make a mistake. You can make a mistake and hit delete. Everything is gone. So I would, yeah, that's a practice. You know, if you're getting, any level of editing, just make sure you're aware if that is the final piece. And also what I like to do is I duplicate. As you can see over here, I duplicate sequences all the time. I would tell you in editing, never throw anything away, never throw a cut away, especially if you're editing for someone, if you're working with a producer writer. Um, as an editor, I've learned to never throw anything away. Any editor would tell you that because you have two people with two different opinions, two different views, and sometimes, as an editor, it's all about compromising, but it's also about telling the story. And you all might know this, but the final story is always told in editing. I don't care what the writer wrote. I don't care what they shot. It's told in editing. I think it was like 2 years ago, I edited a short film, and this writer director. She was so of course, everyone's passionate about their piece, but when she went to shoot her film, her producer actually lost a day of footage. So that was a whole day of footage completely gone. So by the time the footage came to me, the story that she has written, the story that she wrote, of course, was no longer there because you're missing a whole day of footage. And so she had this grand idea about her film. She's telling me this story, and I'm looking at her, and this is after I've gone through the footage. I'm like, okay, I love the story that you're telling me, but that is not the story that you have given me to cut. That is not the story that I can cut. And so it was a lot of going back and forth between me and the producer writer. When she's the producer writer director on it, it was a lot of going back and forth. So I would cut certain scenes and she wouldn't like some of the cuts. So instead of me, you never just want to like, oh, because a producer doesn't like something, go in and delete it. No, you don't delete it. You go over here and where's my sequence? Oh, maybe I should put my glasses on. Where is that sequence? Okay, let me show you something. I can't find this sequence and I don't want to go searching through all my bins. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to hit reveal sequence in project. And boom. Oh, there's my sequence. Um, what was I saying? So yes, I wouldn't delete anything. So what I would do, and when I'm editing film, most of the time I'm editing in stages. I'm editing in scenes. Like I'm editing a scene at a time, and we might go back and forth over a scene. So what I will always do is if you click on something and hit Control D, I'll just duplicate. So that's why I always end up with so many sequences because I don't delete anything. Um, because at some point you never know if that director might come back. It can be weeks later, like, you remember how you cut this scene? I think that really works. Can we go back to that? And you don't want to have to go back and cut that all over again. If you already have that duplicated somewhere, you're like, oh yeah, sure, I can get you that scene, and you go back to that sequence that you had with that version of the scene in there. Yeah, Dylan, it's about time you let go of Final Draft. You have to let go of it. I know it might be hard. I never liked Final Draft. I learned on Avid like almost 20 years ago, and probably oh, probably like around like maybe 5 years ago, I probably started cutting on Premiere. because I was just all Avid. Yes. So I want to, any questions about the timeline? And as you can see, everything, this is my timeline. So everything that I'm showing you on this timeline again is showing in the project window. I do want to show you all about sound. What did I have in sound? I'm just going to, music is faster. So as you can see, when you load a piece of media that's only audio, this is the view you're going to get. So this is my audio, and I love this. This is your wave. This is, you know, these are waveforms. But I can go back and show you. So if I click on this menu right here, I can go back to clips that I've already loaded. Maybe give it to X. Okay. I have this sequence, and so I'm working on another project where I'm going in and cutting out sound bites, and the producer has given me time code clips.
So Penny, I just have another question. Could I ask if you could just also tell us what just because the footage really looks great, and really I'm very intrigued by you know, the film, and what is the short film about? And I don't know if you covered that, if I missed it, but what is this film about? And if you could give us like just a brief like synopsis, if you will.
Sure. So this is and this was shot on a red camera. So yes, the footage looks amazing. This is about actually the piece is only 10 minutes, and I don't mind sharing it if you all would like to watch it. I think it's a total of 10 minutes, if that.
That would be great, yeah. I think we only have
I didn't hear your last part.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself while I was talking. I think we have about 10 minutes left. So,
okay.
So
well, I will play.
12 minutes. We have 12 minutes left. So, but it would be great if we could watch some of the film, I think. Or the whole thing.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was the last part? I think I cut you off.
I think maybe we could watch the whole thing if we have.
Okay.
I think we have just over 10 minutes left. So I think we could go.
Well, I will tell you it's a short story. I don't want to really give it away because then I want you all to give me feedback on it. I will say there is a rape scene in the beginning, so I just want to put that out there. It's not very, you know, I don't actually show the rape, but it's a very vivid scene. So I just want to put that out there for anyone.
I see you next week. Hey, you like that?
get to speak at the Honors Award ceremony. Miss Head of the English Department, you mean, who are we going to get? Thank you for the grammar lesson.
How's it going, ladies? How's it going, Miss Hunter?
Hi, Mr. Gregg. How are you? I haven't seen you all day.
Well, Miss Hunter, you know these kids keep me busy all day.
Same here. And my day isn't over with yet. Yes, and I'm exhausted and famished. Miss Head of the English Department, I am glad that you are improving your vocabulary. You must be spying on my after-school tutoring. Well, maybe I can help you improve on your wardrobe. And that St. Patty's Day jacket you're rocking. And you wearing those too tight dresses, trying to pick up on this young man.
Well, okay, ladies, have a good evening.
How you doing today, Miss Hunter? Hope you're having a great first day. Oh, okay, okay. It's not very hard around here. Pretty easy.
Why don't you fucking help me? Help me!
Oh my God, it's a shooter! Go to the blind. What?
You hear the steps? Did you hear them? He's coming back.
What footsteps, Miss Hunter?
You don't hear them? You don't hear them?
Please, send someone quick. I don't know how much longer we can hold him.
Oh.
We're gonna take a
Deep breath. Wait, Ashley, deep breath.
Everybody, Steve. Everything just you taught me. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I'm not ready to die. Me either.
No, please.
You think she's crazy? Always.
Don't touch me. You are just like him. Don't you let him back in the door. I won't let him do it again. I won't let him touch me again.
Oh, this bitch is crazy for real. Theo, shut up!
You sit your ass down, you big crybaby. What's up? He's out there. He's out there.
I know.
She's not doing anything. She's just sitting there.
Police, open the door.
Miss Hunter, the police are here and they're coming to help us.
You don't know that. He's trying to trick us.
Open the door, ma'am. It's the police.
No, I think the police are really here. We should open the door, Miss Hunter.
Please open the door.
Please, Miss Hunter, please calm down.
No.
I don't know what's going on, but the police are here and they're trying to help us.
No one has helped me. The police didn't help me the first time.
She must be sick or something. I don't know.
You helped me get into college, okay? So let me help you now.
You can't accept me.
Yes, Miss Hunter, all because of you. All right, come on. Let's get out of here.
No!
Everybody all right? Let's go. Come on out. Come on out. Let's go. Let's go. Everybody's okay. Let's go.
You okay?
What? Hey.
Jeanette, you have a question?
Yes, hi. Penny, thank you so much for that very beautiful and important film. I just feel like it's so relatable with all of the gender-based violence that we experience here, especially in South Africa, and just, I guess, the universal pain, you know, that a lot of women feel after acts of kind of gruesome physical violence and sexual violence. And I just wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about your approach to the edit. I understand that you wrote and directed this one, but obviously you directed the edit, right? So maybe you could talk about your approach to the edit, and even talk a little bit about the relationship between the director and the editor, you know, when it comes to directing the edit. So thank you.
Okay, so this story was a very personal story. It actually happened to my aunt in the 80s. So I made this piece for her. I still haven't shown it to her yet. Kind of afraid. I don't know what that might trigger for her. But this piece, yes, I wrote and directed. I assisted in the editing with it. And as an editor myself, it's hard to let go of my pieces, but it's also hard for me to edit my own pieces. So when directing of this piece, I already knew the edits. I already knew what cuts. I knew everything as I was on set directing. So I had one of my very close friends who's an editor. We just went back and forth on this piece. With the editing, I told him like the pacing of it. And like I said, the rapes, I want to be sensitive to people, and being, you know, sexual assaulted myself, I know how this can be a trigger for some. So even in directing this piece, when we were shooting this piece, I was mindful of the camera angles that we got. I didn't want to show too much. And some would say that, you know, I went back and forth with my producers about the audio for that scene. They thought maybe it was too much for the audience to take. But it took us, I actually sat on this film for over a year. It was just literally on my desk in a drive, because I'm like, it was very emotional for me. And because it's like, it's one of my family members, one of my stories, that I'm like, I wrote it, I produced it, I directed. And when it came time to edit, I just like, I needed a mental break from it. And that's when I knew, it's like, okay, I got to pass this on to another editor. I would not be able to do this myself. So I needed him to get started on it. And then I went in behind him and made edits myself to it. But it is, I think someone just asked me about how long it took. So with shooting, how can you acknowledge the craft of editor I directed with? So me being an editor myself, and any DP who's ever worked with me will tell you that I'm not going to do more than maybe 2 takes of something, 2, maybe 3 takes. I'm not one of those directors that needs to get 10 takes, because in my head, I know exactly the angles that I'm going to need for editing. Because one of the worst things, I hate when people, and it helps being an editor because you know how to fix things on set. Because the biggest thing that people like to say is, oh, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. No, we can't fix every damn thing in post. Like, no, we don't have a little magical wand that we can spin around. Whatever you give an editor on your drive, whatever footage you give your editor, that's what your editor has to work with. So being a director, I would say, as an editor, if you know that you're going to come aboard this project before it's even shot, have a conversation with your director. It is very important to have a conversation before they even start shooting, so you all can talk about the story, the pacing, how you want how to feel, the mood, and what certain cuts they might want. So then you can have an input while they're in the field shooting. So when you come back, when they bring you the footage back, it's not a complete mess that they expect you to do something with, like. And that's what we do. A lot of editing, you literally pulling your hair out because you're like, and you're fussing like, why did they do this on set? Why didn't they do this on set? Why is the camera here? I need the camera to be there. That's all you hear is editors like, we have very, very filthy mouths because we're cursing a lot, and I curse a lot. And me being from the South, being from Louisiana, the Southern United States, I curse a lot. So it's good to have a relationship with your writer producer, and know when to say no to projects. Know when you look at, because I have a drive now that a producer, a director dropped off to me. She wants me to edit her film, and I'm coming in after the film is done. So I told her, I have to look at your footage, and I'll need to look at the footage first before I even decide if I'm going to edit this or not. You just got to make sure it's even worth your time. After Effects. So After Effects is a product of Adobe. I will say, I consider myself a cutter. I'm just a cutter. Like, I cut. I do not, I'm not really big into graphics. That's a graphic artist. It's like nowadays people want, because usually, back in the day, those 2 different people doing 2 different jobs. But now they want editors. They want us to know everything. And no, I'm an editor. I cut. If I need graphics, I go hire a graphic artist or go find a friend, somebody to do my graphics. I do know the basics of not Photoshop. Well, Photoshop is Adobe as well. After Effects. After Effects, that's my goal to really get to. I don't want to get to a level where I even call myself a graphic artist, because that's not what I want to do. But there are certain things that I do want to learn in After Effects. So that is a goal of mine this year, is to focus a little bit more on After Effects. And whether I like it or not, I will be able to market myself more if I know more than just the basics of After Effects as an editor. With After Effects, you can use After Effects. Of course, it's very easy to use And in Premiere, you can easily just bring in the composition that you created into Premiere, but you can also use After Effects with Avid as well.
I think there was a similar question earlier about migrating from one software to another in the same project. So is it possible to do something like you start on Avid and then you're like, oh, they're like, oh, we need you to switch to Premiere. Like, is that?
I wouldn't do it. Just me. If you start an Avid and you telling me to go to Premiere, you've lost your damn mind. I'm not doing it. Yeah, that's so Avid and Premiere are completely different, especially how they do their file management. So me, I started off as an assistant editor, so I really know the technical side of editing. So when it comes to Avid, of course, Avid is a beast, but when you have to know how to organize your footage before you even start editing in Avid. So it creates something called Avid Media files. And those are files you cannot bring into Premiere. You will have to basically shoot out an EDL and bring that EDL over to your other software. And basically you have to rebuild that sequence. And it is a headache. So I think it might be easier from, going from Final Cut to Premiere. That might be easier. So for me, every day I have Avid and Premiere on my system. So it depends on, like, if I'm doing short form things, like with this film, it was edited in Premiere. It's just easier and it's faster, because with Avid, it's a whole process of bringing in your media. You're not just dragging and dropping in the red files. These big high-tech cameras that we have. You're not just dragging and dropping that into Avid. You have to either transcode or consolidate that footage. And depends on how much you have, that can take hours and days for you to do. I would say Avid is good when you're using, when you have multiple editors. Because whether you're on a big server, like if you at a place like National Geographic or Discovery, where you're on a big server, you all can be in that same project at the same time. But say you're not on a server and you have the project at your house and that person had a project at his house, what you can do in Avid is share bins. You can share bins, and you can also share the Avid media files that were created when you brought your footage in. And that's why on the back end, it's always great to, on the front end, I'm sorry, that you have to, you all should bring me back for Avid, because Avid, I can tell you some things about Avid, but you will want to organize your folders, and then you can share that way in Avid. In Premiere, the thing that I hate, because I'm working with multiple editors now on a project I'm doing, I have to just give them my whole project. And maybe there's another way that I don't know of, but like I said, I'm mostly an Avid editor. I edit on both, but I love Avid. Premiere is just like a little friend over there, but Avid is my heart. With Premiere, yes. Yes.
We have to wrap up soon.
Okay.
There's one question from Uzo, which is, how can editing help me become a better storyteller? And also from Uzo, the industry standard is that Avid.
The industry standard is Avid. Every Hollywood movie you watch, you most likely, it has 95% have been edited on Avid. Your other question was, how can editing make you a better storyteller? Like I said earlier, anything that you're editing, the final story is you're telling the final story. So you are the final storyteller of that project. I don't care what the writer wrote. I don't care what the director directed. You are the final storyteller of that story, because you can only edit what you have. And you're creating a world. With that footage, you're creating a world, you're creating a tone, you're creating a pace, a mood, setting the tone, the mood, everything. And You're doing that with the visuals, you're doing that with the audio, you're doing that with the color. I'm not a colorist. I did not color that film. There are people that do color. I do not do color. But that's, yeah, you're the storyteller. You're the final storyteller in any piece.
I think that's such a great soundbite to end this masterclass. And I just want to thank you again so much for this